So I thought it was time to do a video about what it's been like to own the Elan for the last 2 years now. Probably should have done a video 1 year of ownership or something like that, but it's been 2 years now, 2 years this month. I bought it in July 2018 and now it's July 2020, so 24 months of ownership. So a little bit of advice to anybody who might want to buy an Elan, what it's been like to own, what it's cost, that kind of thing. So I've owned the Elan for 24 months now, as I said. I've done about 2,400 miles in it in 2 years, so I'm a little bit ashamed of that really. I should have been out and about using it a little bit more, but because of COVID-19 and everything, plans for going to the Festival of Speed and also going to Caffeine and Machine, which I fancy going to, which I still fancy going to, they've been put on hold, and things are starting to open up again now, so that should be nice to do. But really it's just been round and about. I haven't done any long trips, haven't been up to Scotland or to Wales to see some of these great driving roads, so hopefully I'll get a chance to do that in the coming months, and then obviously Festival of Speed next year. So really, for anybody thinking of buying an Elan, I suppose the first thought is sort of what is it going to cost me to run, and is it going to be reliable and things like that. And really, you know, this car hasn't let me down in the last 2 years that I've owned it. It's been perfectly reliable. There's been a couple of glitches which you've seen in the videos previously, but really it's never left me stranded at the side of the road, or nothing bad or nothing big has ever gone wrong. Obviously when I bought the car I could tell that it was over fueling a little bit, as you saw in a previous video, so there was something not quite right with the engine and what was going on. So I knew there were going to be a few problems and a few things that I'd need to sort out during the course of owning it. Like you saw in the first video, the headlamp didn't work, so when I bought it with my eyes open I knew there was going to be stuff that was going to need fixing, but as I've said, nothing that has left me stranded at the side of the road. Now, sort of initially, the first bills that come up are tax and insurance. Now, you probably won't factor those into the cost of owning the car. It's more of the maintenance and the running costs and things like that that people are worried about. But when I first insured it, it was with Footman James. First year was, I think, £235 or thereabouts, £250, which was, I suppose, a little bit expensive considering I was only I put down about 4,000 miles a year, which was more than I actually did in the end. But after the first year, I went to Performance Direct Insurance and managed to get the premium down to, I think it was £130 a year, which is pretty good really. And then my recent renewal into my third year has come down to about £95. So from an insurance point of view, it's been pretty good. It's getting better every year. It's a shame. I would have liked to have stayed with Footman James, but in the second year they seem to just go up and up and up, and I thought I'd try Performance Insurance Direct, and so far they've been pretty good. I suppose the other thing that's quite shocking compared with modern cars, if you've got a Ford Focus that's £30 a year for the road tax or something like that, the road tax is actually about 225 or something like that, which is quite a lot for something that you're just using at the weekend. So that's something to bear in mind when you buy an older car, is that now they're starting to get hammered a little bit on their road tax. So when I started buying parts for the car that I needed, I started out with a £22 S2 badge, a little bit unnecessary, but that was the first thing that I bought. And then I got further in to things as the MOT started to come up, things that I knew that I'd definitely have to do. So one of the things that could have been expensive was the headlamp motor, because it could have been totally knackered, and I looked online and that could have been about 300 quid or so. But luckily, working with my dad, he managed to get some, or find that the brushes inside the connections had broken off of them. So we sort of got some out of another motor that he had and put those in. So it could have been, you know, a £300 job for another motor, maybe £80 or £90 a time or per hour to fit. if it took a couple of hours or whatever. So it could have been an expensive job, it could have been a £500 job, but it turned out, because I did it myself, it didn't cost me anything. So that's one that you know, that could have caught somebody out if you didn't know what you were doing, or that you were going to have to use a garage. But as it was, you know, it was something I could do myself. The next thing that we got into was the rear brakes. So we had to, we could see for the MOT that was going to need doing. So we took the calipers off, I sandblasted those myself, so again that didn't cost any money. So we got into the brakes. The rear brake pads were £22.54. The rear caliper seal kit was £39.90 from SJ Sports Cars. The rear caliper hardware that was needed as well was £29. So a sort of a total there of what, I don't know, sort of maybe 100 quid or a bit more. Again, I bought some front brake pads, I haven't fitted those yet, that are Vauxhall Astra pads that were £15. But you know, the whole brake rebuild cost me about £100. But again, to have that done at a garage, you could be into £80 or £90 labour per hour. So again, that could build up, and you could be into, you know, £400 or £500 or maybe a little bit less. The next issue was to tackle those problems with the overfueling. So the coolant temperature sensor needed changing. Again, that could have been an expensive part if it came from SJ Sports Cars, an original Lotus part, because it was about £85 I think, but I managed to get one on eBay, cross-referenced it with GM parts, Isuzu parts, and it was 15 quid. So again, only cost me 15 quid to fit and diagnose. And then had a knock-on problem that it had needed a new thermostat as well. The thermostat was about £6 from Euro Car Parts. Again, fitted all that myself. You could be in for a few hours labour there, but so the total for all of that was 15 quid and 6 quid, so 22 quid or thereabouts. So again, a nice, easy, cheap fix for me doing it myself. The next thing, the knock-on thing from that in the next video that you saw was the lambda sensor. So when I went through the fault codes, I found that the lambda sensor needed changing. So I was going to get that from SJ Sports Cars. It was about 65 quid. I thought I'd be clever again and do it on eBay, get one sent over from America, but I think it came out at about 60 quid once I paid all the taxes and everything. So I might as well have gone with SJ Sports Cars. Other things that have happened during the course of owning it is I had a flat rear tyre on the driver's side. When I sort of looked into it, we'd had some building work done at the house, and there were some staples from some woodwork that had got into the tyre, into the side of the tyre. So it wasn't in the tread, it was in a part that couldn't be repaired. So that cost me, I think it was £108 for a new tyre that I got from blackcircles.com and then had fitted at a local garage. So there's a cost that's no fault of the car at all. You know, it could have happened to anybody, so it's not really something to worry about if you're going to buy one. And then the last thing, the car was laid up in the garage over the winter, and it seemed to have a bit of an effect on the battery. Even though I disconnected it over the winter, it really took its toll, and it didn't work very well at all after that, even if I tried to charge it. So I had to get a new battery. The new battery was £120 with a lifetime guarantee from Quick Fit. So that was really easy. Picked it up, fitted it myself, and you know, now I don't have to worry about it. If it does go wrong, it's got a lifetime guarantee anyway. So so that's pretty good. So overall, with my sort of rather rubbish maths, it adds up to about £477 for the last 2 years if we minus off the insurance and the road tax. So, and that's total cost. So as I've said probably a few too many times in this video, that's because I've done all the work myself. If you add on labour to that, to a garage, obviously it's going to cost you an awful lot more, but it really is worth having a go yourself because it's quite a simple car. It's quite easy to diagnose faults. There's some fantastic support and help online, either it be a Facebook group or if it be Wiki, LEC, or Lotus Elan, M100 websites. So I'd really say yes, have a go at fixing it yourself because it's pretty straightforward and pretty easy to do. And if you minus off the cost of the battery or even the cost of the tyre, that brings it down quite considerably. So really, for the parts that have gone wrong that I've really had to fix, like the lambda and stuff like that, you're into quite small costs for 2 years of ownership, really. So in short then, I've really enjoyed owning the car so far. It's something I wanted when I was a kid, as I've said in the other videos, and it's really lived up to expectations. It's a really fun thing to drive, it's a nice thing to own. There's nice things that you can work on yourself and fix, which are fairly straightforward. So I'm not particularly mechanically minded. My dad's a fantastic mechanic. We call him the original wizard, similar to Hoovie's garage wizard. So I'm not that good, but this car has been great to help me learn to do different things and learn little bits and bobs, and use my sort of internet savvy to discover things about the car and parts, and sort of unscrew and just bolt stuff on and see if it works. And I've really enjoyed doing that. I never thought I'd actually be able to get to grips with something and begin to understand why, what's wrong with it, and be able to do that diagnostic stuff. I'm the kind of guy who normally takes his car to the garage and lets them sort it out, and doesn't know what lurks under the bonnet. But this car has given me that confidence, and it's given me that opportunity to be able to play around with it and find out what's wrong with it, which has been great. With a car this age, service history doesn't necessarily have to be from a main dealer. If you've got the receipts and you've got maybe video or photographs of what you did, it's going to be obvious to somebody that those parts are new, those parts have been changed, it's been well maintained, that kind of thing. You can build up a folder of this stuff that's a mixture of garage service history, and it's a mixture of things that you've done yourself. And that combination of things is going to tell people whether or not the car is worth buying afterwards. I'm not really thinking about that. Once I buy a car, I feel as though I'm going to own it for the rest of my life. So I'm not really thinking about selling it on at the moment. A couple of things I still need to fix. I still need to fix the windscreen. It's still delaminated. Or some of these things that I mentioned 2 years ago in the original video. I still like to get things smartened up. Some of the paintwork is still a little bit stone chipped at the front. The wheels are a little bit curbed and things like that. I'd like to get the wheels redone. But mechanically, everything is fine. That was the most important thing, to get the car mechanically sound and running well, and I've achieved that. So other cosmetic things, apart from the S2 badge that I did first, of course, other cosmetic things can kind of come later. The window rubbers, they're not vitally important. The paintwork's not vitally important. The wheels, that kind of stuff. If anything, it allows you to be a bit more freer when you're driving it, because you're not worried about the odd stone chip, or not that I curb wheels, but even the odd curb or something like that. When I do get those things done, I'll probably start to be one of those people who wraps them up in a garage and doesn't touch them. So as it stands at the moment, it's about the right level of smartness compared with actual usability. I think one of the things I've enjoyed alongside owning the car as well is actually doing this YouTube channel, because as I've said, I've been learning about how to work on the car myself and fix the car myself, but I've also been learning about how to do video editing and produce better quality videos. I watched a lot of things like Carfection with Henry Catchpole, where his videos are super slick, and obviously that's something to aim for. So I'm trying to match sort of camera shots and the way he delivers stuff. I watch a lot of Hoovie's Garage as well, so I kind of want to try to sort of replicate some of the detail and some of the fun he gets into. And I kind of mix up with Seen Through Glass and Petrolicious, and I love all these channels. So it's kind of about not just being about the car as a kind of a journey or an experience. It's been about learning how to do these videos. If you watch the series, you'll probably notice they're quite cringy early on. I'm sorry about that. The sound levels were a bit all over the place as well. Maybe the Amiga gaming stuff was a little bit ill-advised. But as time's gone on, hopefully you feel they've got a bit slicker. I feel as though I've got a little bit more comfortable doing them, and using Adobe Premiere and stuff like that, and editing things together, getting the sound levels right, getting the camera shots right. I've really enjoyed doing that, and that's kind of even though it's not part of the ownership of the car, it's kind of sort of been part and parcel of the experience, really. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit the like button or subscribe so you can get updates and get told when I've got a new video on, and hopefully it'll be something that will interest you. I've done a lot of Lotus videos lately for the car. That's kind of what the channel has been built around, but I want to branch out, as I've said before. I want to do maybe more car shows. I want to review other types of car as well. I'd like to do some comparison stuff with the Lotus too, between the MX-5 and the Lotus. I used to have an MX-5, so I kind of know both of them, but I'd like to kind of, you know, see how the Lotus fares fairly badly against the MX-5. People will instantly say, yes, you should go for an MX-5, but it'd be nice to kind of re-evaluate that now after 25, 30 years and see if the reasons why people didn't go for this was that it was too expensive, that Lotus didn't go for it because it was too expensive to make, and see if basically the car, you know, when you can pick these up at reasonable prices nowadays, that's out of the equation. So which is the nicer one to own, which is the nicer one to drive? I think that would make some interesting comparison. So if you have a car that you'd be happy for me to borrow and to review, that would be great. I'd love to have some more content, and the easiest way, the cheapest way to do that is to have support from you guys. So anyway, thank you very much for watching.